It's, I have no legal expertise in the question of whether these auto signatures are legitimate or are not legitimate, and it's kind of an interesting legal question, I guess. But I think you hit the nail on the head in your opening there.
So the right wing has been given something new to talk about. Look, as we're getting to know each other on this channel, I just want you to know that I have a very definitely not nuanced. Like, I have no problem saying whatever. I'm straightforward. I'm definitely straightforward, okay? So the right wing has decided that they have a new talking point. And what is that talking point? Their favorite Trump, these cultists, auto pen. Have you guys been on Twitter and hearing about auto pens? Auto pen. And I didn't know what that was. And then there's like, oh, apparently Joe Biden used an auto pen to sign some executive orders. So I wonder, is he the only president who's ever done this? That's where the hypocrisy lies with these people. But let's go ahead and get into Dave Smith already starting off and getting ready to get destroyed by Julie Ronsky. I hope I'm saying her last name right. Already saying that he doesn't know something, but he's on here as if he knows something.
Pierce, it's like none of this would ever, there's no way you could make this claim short of the fact that we all know the former sitting president was so senile. And this is, these are the type of conversations every single political commentator, including the four of us here and everyone these are the type of conversations we were having privately throughout this whole, the whole last year, at least, of the Biden administration. I mean, when you're at this level of mental decline, how much can everybody around you just abuse that? I mean, Joe Biden actually seemed at a state, at least toward the end of his administration, where a staffer could probably just tell him, oh, no, you already said that yesterday. And he'd kind of have to go, yeah, I guess I did. And then I guess the bigger question than that, which I think really does rise above a legal question, is just how outrageous it is that the outgoing president would pardon Fauci. I mean, all of us know that in this whole debacle, which, by the way, this doesn't have to be a partisan issue because Donald Trump is very implicated in this too. He was the president of the United States of America through all of 2020. He's the one who kept Fauci on the job through the year of lockdowns. But the fact that Fauci was covering up the fact that that his own or subsidiaries of his own agency had funded the lab where the whole thing came from. And then they covered that up and they accused everybody of being horrible racists or conspiracy theorists if they brought up the theory of where this virus originated from. And then to impose lockdowns and mandates and just lie to the American people the whole way through is one of the gravest crimes that was ever committed by the U.S. government against the American people. And the idea that a president would give out blanket immunity for those crimes is so appalling that...
but that's what presidents do. It's like, one thing, look, I've gone through a lot with these political pundits, with these people who speak one-sided and act like they're not speaking one-sided. Presidents give pardons, okay? That's what presidents do. Donald Trump just pardoned all the J6ers. Okay, presidents give pardons. That's what they do. And there's a lot of people on the left who are not happy with the pardoning of the J6ers. Presidents give pardons, right? So and the other thing that I love is the talking points of like, you were racist if you said it came from China. Basically, that's what he's saying, right? But they never touch on any subject completely. I feel like almost like nobody's doing this, right? Because it's not only that it came from China, it actually kind of started here at Fort Detrick. And whenever somebody gets a chance, you go ahead and look that up. And I can't say anymore. I'll just leave it there with that. I just don't understand why we keep acting like we're not one-siding things, and we are. And then to even come back and say, oh, did Joe Biden know what he was doing? Or was it a staffer? Basically, they're trying to like allude to the fact that a staffer probably was running the country. Look, I'm not going to sit here and gaslight you and say Joe Biden was perfectly at good health to be president. I did see a cognitive decline happening, right? But don't act like right now we don't have this president who has this guy named Elon Musk, behind him at all ends. Like, just everywhere he goes, he's there. Like, is that not weird? And they never bring this up. You're bringing up and saying that maybe Joe Biden wasn't running the country, but I'm really wondering who's running at least this waste, fraud, and abuse, whatever thing. What is really going on there? They never bring up the fact that Elon Musk is running around. He's on Trump like white on rice. So I'm sorry, like, both sides have a lot to explain. So don't act righteous just because you guys just won.
Pardoning insurrectionists, but that's exactly what he didn't do. So let's look at this from a really, really realistic perspective. There is nothing in the Constitution that has the auto pen exclusion. And President Biden is still very much alive to tell us that he, in fact, wanted and did pardon the people that he pardoned. So this whole thing is crazy. It's done to rile up the base. It's done to tie up the courts. I'm sure the Supreme Court, even the Supreme Court, is going to say this is ridiculous because auto pens have been used consistently in signing documents over and over and over again in this administration, in the previous administration, in the first.
Why is she here? Like, like, whatever. She could be there if she wants, whatever. Like, hey, whatever, right? Why is she here, though? What kind of substance is she going to bring into this conversation? What is she going to say, that Joe Biden was old? Like, okay, guys, we have 3 other people who are going to say the same thing about him being old. I don't think we need a 4th person. Furthermore, Julie she's right. She's Roginski. I did say it wrong. Please excuse me. Auto pens apparently have been used. Auto pen. You know what it is? It's to cover up the fact that the right is making a lot of terrible mistakes, like, I don't know, getting us involved in foreign wars that we shouldn't be getting involved in, or I don't know, where are those Epstein files, right? Because the right swore that this is going to be the most transparent administration, but now they have them all chasing their tails. You should see them all on Twitter about auto pens. I mean, have you ever heard anything so ridiculous?
Trump administration. So there's no auto pen exclusion to the United States Constitution. But I understand why Dave wants to talk about Anthony Fauci. He wants to talk about anything other than the fact that, of course, this president, the one we have right now, pardoned January 6th insurrectionists. And you have the temerity after that to talk about Anthony Fauci, who I think did the best he could under very challenging circumstances. He did not pardon people who were convicted by a jury of their peers and sentenced to decades in prison for attacking the United States Capitol and putting in harm's way not just Democrats, but even Mike Pence.
But Julie, you talk about putting people in. All right, but Julie.
No, but you know what's funny, because he cuts her off, but she's actually making quite the point, because at the end of the day, and this is actually a pretty good point she just made, because at the end of the day, I can listen to whoever talk about whatever, but that is a point, that Anthony Fauci was placed there, was working there when Trump was president. He didn't go after him then, right? So, and he is somebody who, no matter how you feel about him, and I'm going to keep it real. I'm not that excited about Anthony Fauci. I'm sorry. I'm just not. I can't even pretend like I am, for my own reasons. But the fact is, though, he wasn't just some random person. He'd been working with the administration, the White House, for a very long time, since I believe Reagan era. So it's like, you know what? If you pardon Fauci, and it's a shame that it has to be a preemptive pardon, because maybe we should find out where our system isn't working, where a lot of things were said and all of that, right? Like, there were things that they came back and said that they kind of did just go along with whatever, right? But this is somebody who showed up to work to do a job, and he was being allowed to do that job. So it's like, if you're going to be, pardons happen, right? She's right. They pardoned the J6ers. They pardoned Anthony Fauci. Keep it moving. Why doesn't the right focus on, especially Dave Smith? Why, he's like, oh, we could do this bipartisan or whatever. But you're always like on Trump team. Right now, we have a lot of foreign policy issues that are being escalated. I think the right should actually focus on that, and focus on exactly what agencies are being slashed by this guy named Elon Musk, who is always around. I mean, I think there's a lot more there to talk about, but we will have more to come. Thank you for watching.